Hi everyone, welcome to Mama Style's Gothic Beauty. I'm going to be doing the metal band or alternative band of the week, where I talk about a band that I have been listening to. I am trying to broaden my horizons, and I thought this would be an interesting type of video just to talk about. Originally I was going to be like doing my makeup, while talking about this, but I'm actually finding that doing my makeup while trying to film this type of video, it's actually very distracting for me, and I tend to build a clock, and I don't like that. So we're scratching that idea, or else I might just throw away this idea completely. I don't know. Um, but I thought, like the first band that I would be doing is, I'm looking over this space because I have notes, and this is to help me not build a clock. The first band that I thought I would start off with is The Cure, because I've heard about them all over Goth talk, TikTok. So basically, The Cure is an English band created in the late 1978, in the 70s, 78 to be precise. The lead singer, Robert Smith, is one of the main band members that have stuck around, has not really left the band for whatever reason. I do not have everybody else's names, but I do have the notes that I did take, and I did use a little bit of Wikipedia and a little bit of the Rolling Stone article in my notes. Now, if I had used Wikipedia in anything else, if I was doing school, I would get in trouble for that, because Wikipedia is not like a really great source. But this is music we're talking about, so I just realized I totally forgot about blush and highlighter, but that's okay. That's besides the point. So he is a consistent member of the band. Robert feels like his band is a bit misunderstood, meaning that he feels that his band isn't truly goth, and he goes on to explain, "I don't think of The Cure as a goth band, I never have. I grew up in a world where goth hasn't quite been invented in the way that we know and love it." Basically, when his band first started out, he was considered post-punk. When the goth scene first came around, that was like about 1982, and he started going towards the, like the Bat Cave and performing there and such. Um, and he explains the Banshees were pretty much a goth band for a while, but even they weren't. So basically another post-punk band. But the real goth bands were around, the ones that were part of the initial movement, the ones that first started out, basically meaning they first started out in 1982 and beyond. Um, and they were goth bands that he was in, and he was doing Let's Go to Bed when goth started, so we done Pornography and Hanging Garden, and there was a look and a kind of a vibe and an atmosphere, yes. Like the aesthetic was there, and such. Um, but he goes on to say, "But was I responsible for goth?" And he goes, "No." And and if I was, he says, "And if I was, and I would be very happy, but I wasn't." Smith feels that he did have a part in the goth scene, but he was not fully responsible for creating it. Yes, he had a part in it, a part. Basically, his aesthetic, some of his music. I was even listening to some of his music, and I was hearing the aesthetic, and I was hearing the vibe, and such. Um, but he feels like he was not fully responsible in it, for creating goth, since his band was created before the era, which is basically 1978, of goth, which goth started in the 80s. Mainly due to their aesthetic, The Cure has been labeled goth throughout their career. However, frontman Robert Smith believes it's an inaccurate judgment due to the fact that it was based off of their look rather than their sound, which is kind of understanding. I understand where he comes from on that. Basically, judging upon appearances instead of whatever. So I do believe that yes, the Gothic, the Cure has a Gothic sound and aesthetic, but they were not one of the original bands who started the Goth subculture. And honestly, if we are being honest, I think even though yes, the Cure had a hand in the Gothic culture, but he was technically post-punk when he first came out. And I do feel like The Cure does have a The Cure does have a bit of a sound that had a much bigger part in the goth culture than Robert thinks they do. I think he, doesn't give himself as much credit that is due. Um, Now since I got the intro out of the way, I thought I would talk about my favorite songs at least, and this was gonna be a part where I did this during my makeup, but the problem is that during my makeup while filming this and talking about this is a bit distracting. I am gonna go do my blush though, because I do know that I don't have any blush on and I do feel a bit naked without my blush. Going in with the e.l.f. blush. So my I really do not have a favorite song actually, to tell you the truth, and the reason why I don't have a favorite song right now is because I'm hearing impaired, and for me to have a favorite song, I have to really, 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 really pay attention to what I'm listening to. I have to have lyrics right in front of me, kind of like subtitles when I'm watching something. When I'm watching a video, I have to have subtitles, or when I'm watching a movie or TV, I have to have subtitles. So that goes the same for lyrics. And right now, Spotify did not really give me lyrics when I was listening to them. So I would have to go on the computer and look up lyrics in order to find my favorite song, and actually really, really, really sit there and listen when I find a song that I'm listening to. But the one song that did stand out to me was was Boys Don't Cry. And I've been using this idea to help me expand on music and stuff. And I was trying to find more goth bands besides. And I did hear a lot about The Cure due to TikTok, mainly Goth Dad, you know, Vision Video, Goth Dad, Baby Bats, type of thing, on TikTok. But as I was saying, due to being hearing impaired, I have to really, really pay attention to what I'm listening to. And one thing that really, really stood out to me is, even though it's not really my favorite song, it's the, Boys Don't Cry. Mainly probably due to the fact that because it's the first song that pops up on my Spotify, is the very first song that pops up if I am not putting it on a different, on like shuffle where it just shuffles through the songs. I don't have it on shuffle through that. So when I listen to music, songs end up kind of muddled for me. They just like mesh together almost. Because due to being hearing impaired, which gets really, really kind of annoying, because I feel like I miss out on a lot of things, and I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of great songs by bands, including The Cure, including Cradle of Filth. Like, I'm just missing out on a lot of stuff due to being hearing impaired, and I just want to be able to, talk about the bands and really give an accurate feel of it. So I'm hoping by the next time I come around with my next video talking about music and such, and you know, covering metal band of the week. Hopefully I get better as I go along, and talking about stuff. Like, I want to be able to do this while filming, you know, doing my makeup and stuff, but I don't know how this is going to pan out. Um, because doing this while trying to do my makeup is kind of distracting. I'm not Bailey Sarian. I guess my idea was to do sort of like makeup murder mystery, but make it metal band of the week type of thing, talking about music, but it's just, it didn't really pan out. But as I was going on, talking about this music, you know, The Cure and stuff, I wanted to ask, you know, to kind of close this out as we're coming towards the end of this video. Do you feel like The Cure had a bigger hand um, in the goth scene than they really thought they did? Because honestly, I think they did. If we're being honest, I feel like Robert Smith really didn't give himself as much credit as as he should. I mean, he's probably not one of the bands that came out with the sound and how things sounded back then, but you know, being post punk. But I think he did have a bigger hand, and but other than that, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to follow if you want to see what other bands that I might cover, whether if it's just going to be talking like this or doing my makeup at the same time. Hopefully I don't build a clock the next time around and mess up. But I won't be just talking about goth, but I'll be covering all types of alternative, including punk rock, you know, metal, all kinds. You know, this is how to help me broaden my horizon, you know, to step out of my comfort zone, because there's very specific bands I follow, and I would like to, you know, like, hey, you know, discover new things, and maybe I could discover new things by talking to, you know, other people, like-minded people. Until next time, I will see you guys all later. Bye!